From the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm your host, Christina Ellis, Ramsey personality, joined today by my co-host and fellow Ramsey personality, George Campbell. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Let's get to the phones. First up, we have Sam calling from Cleveland, Ohio. Hey, Sam, welcome to the show.
Hey, hello. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. How can we help?
Yeah, so I've been, I have a 18-month-old baby that's in daycare, and I've been struggling with guilt for being a working mom. And I've been torn about leaving my job for the past year, and it's been kind of impacting, my home life. And my primary fear is just like, I have a good income, and if I pause some of our aggressive financial goals, is that going to be okay to take that time, take a couple years to be a stay-at-home mom and pause those aggressive kind of financial goals we have?
Well, I'm glad you called. That's a lot to process. I'm curious a little bit more about the bigger picture. You said we, so is your husband working?
Yeah, my husband works. He has a pretty good job as well.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more about your financial goals. So it sounds like you have debt that you're trying to get out of. Is that correct?
Actually, well, we have a mortgage, but other than that, we're debt-free.
Awesome.
We paid off our student loans. We have no credit card debt. We recently paid off our car. And I think we have an aggressive financial goal of paying off our house in 5 years. And I know it's not something we need to do, but we've after we pay off our debt, we just want to pay off everything. And that's kind of that mindset has gotten into our heads. And now that I don't know if it's worth to kind of give that up. And we're also saving for college and for our 18-month-old. So it's just how can those things pause and wait for me to take a couple years off?
Well, Sam, I hear a lot of emotion in your voice. It sounds like, yes, those goals are important, but that being a stay-at-home mom also is important. How does it kind of weigh in your head?
I don't want to miss the early years, but I'm also, I guess in my family, I've always seen working moms. So it's just, this is a really hard thing to do for me.
What do you want? What do you want?
I want to stay at home, but I'm scared to do it.
What are you afraid of?
So if we take this whole bad mom thing off the table, because either way you're going to get yelled at, right? If you're a working mom, if you're a stay-at-home mom. So let's just take that off the table and put down the shame and guilt and the baggage and say, what is right for Sam? Could you guys live off of your husband's income?
Yeah, we could.
And then how much longer would it take to pay off the house?
Well, we're paying times 3 right now our mortgage payment. If I stopped working, it would probably take 10 years.
10 years instead of 5.
15. Yeah.
Okay. So let's walk through a worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, you get to have your dream of being a stay-at-home mom for a few years, for as long as you'd like, and you have a mortgage for 5 years longer, and you will survive. That's a worst case scenario.
How does that sound?
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing on paper. Obviously, taking the emotion out of it, just on the facts on paper, it's a reasonable situation. There's people who stay at home who are in much worse financial situations, drowning in debt, and they still make it work. So the fact that you guys have worked so hard to get to this point, you're allowed to do things like this without guilt.
Yeah, I guess I'm worried though still about long term. I have a really nice 401k plan with my job. We're pausing for a few years. And how will that impact my retirement? It's not just the mortgage. It's just having that.
Well, crunch
income.
the numbers. Go, okay, if I left my job, my 401k sat there, we rolled it to an IRA, we continued to invest that money, what would it turn into? Okay, it's going to be $1.5 million instead of $2 million. Big whoop. Yeah. You still get to have the retirement you want. You have those years with your kid. Because here's what the other side is. You don't do this, you keep working, and you live with regret for the rest of your life about the years you could have been with your child that you'll never have back.
Yeah.
We can always get more money. We can't get time back. And you guys have put yourself in such an incredible financial position to be able to do this.
Well, and my heart goes out to you because we've had this conversation in our house before where we're talking through, the balance between being a working mom and just absolutely adoring our kids. And there have been times where we've made sacrifices and maybe pulled back on a project or not gone as hard at work because I ask myself that question, when I'm 90 years old, when I'm on my deathbed and I look back, am I going to look back and go, man, we didn't pay our mortgage off 5 years earlier, or am I going to be grateful that I took that time with my kids? And it's like when you go really big picture of like deathbed, I've seen so many studies of like people who were passing away when they were older. And it's like they didn't miss, the money. We care about money here. That's important. We want you to be financially strong. But at the end of the day, those memories with your kids, this beautiful time where they're young, like that's going to be the stuff you remember.
Yeah. I guess the other fear is that, I've worked really hard in my career to be where I'm at today. If I, take a few years off, what is that going to be? What's the impact going to be to my career long term? Like, I feel like I will be taking a couple steps backward. Yes, it's worth it, but that's another thought I have.
Do you have any mentors?
Yeah, I do. All working, like kind of mom mentors, yeah.
Do you have anybody in your life who has done what you're thinking about doing, where they left the workforce for a period of time and then came back and they're crushing it?
No, and it's kind of frowned upon in my family because no one had the opportunity to do it.
I think that's my challenge to you today is to find that woman. Look for that woman who has left for a while and has come back and is now crushing it in their career. Because I know we have people at Ramsey who are directors and who are doing amazing things here in-house who were gone for 10 years to raise their kids. And now they went back in the workforce and they're doing amazing. And there are thousands, millions of women who have done that. I just think that right now your scope is a bit limited because like what you said, your family is against it. Women in your job aren't doing it. And it's kind of feeling like a unique path, but there have been tons of women who have done it and done it successfully.
Sure.
Don't believe this lie, Sam, that you are not going to have any, economic worth if you stay at home for a few years with your kid. Like Christina said, the truth is a lot of people go back to work and who knows, you might even find a better career when you come back. If you want to come back, who knows? Either way, there's no wrong answers here. The only wrong way to do it is to put yourself in a financial pit that you can't crawl out of, and now you have financial stress on top of all of this. So you got to deal with the opinions of family. But you know what? They worked hard to raise you so that you could live the life that you want, and this is what that looks like. And it may not be the opinion you're looking for.
And it's kind of a scary leap. I think a lot of people who've been through it will tell you that they had those fears too, and it's kind of nerve-wracking. But I know that I've talked to a lot of the women here, and they didn't regret it. We're wishing you well, Sam. We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show.
If you're like most people, your home is your most valuable asset. And when you want to make improvements, it can feel like everything costs too much or takes too long. But something as simple as custom window coverings from Blinds.com can completely change your space and add value to your home. We've recommended Blinds.com for over a decade, so you know you can trust them. From blinds, drapes, and shutters to motorized shades, they make it easy and affordable to upgrade your entire home, and their team is ready to help with everything from design consultation to measuring and installation. Plus, there are never any misleading quotes or hidden fees. Everything's backed by their 100% satisfaction guarantee, and shipping is always free. See why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Visit Blinds.com to save up to 45% off everything site-wide. Go to Blinds.com now to learn more.
your calls at 888-825-5225. If you got something on your mind, you just want some friends to bounce it off of, give us a call. We're excited to talk to you. Next up, we have Amy calling from Dallas, Texas. Hey, Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, how can we help?
I said it should be relatively quick, I think, but I've been investing now for about 13, maybe 12 years, and I did my calculation. I have about an 8% return so far. Should I be discouraged by that, or should I kind of think, we're in kind of a downturn, and overall it should end up still being 10?
Well, good job with that. 13 years. Are you completely out of debt?
Yeah, baby step 7.
Woo!
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So what is your net worth as of today?
2.2 million, I think. So,
Amy, I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to be. I wouldn't be discouraged with a 2.2 million.
I asked George because 1% when I'm 65 is a huge amount of money.
Oh yeah, I mean a 1% swing. You're saying under or over. If you get 9% instead of 8%, it changes the numbers drastically.
Yeah, by like $15 million.
And so you're worried, am I going to have enough? Is that really the heart of the question?
That's not really the question. Really, the question is, because Dave says numerous times, I should average 10 to 12.
Well, it's not that you should. It's just if you look at the S&P 500 since, the 1920s and 30s, the average return has been. Now, there's been times where it's been down 30%. There's been times where it's up 30%. And so I would not be discouraged by looking at a snapshot of even 12 years and looking at that. Because you're investing over more like a 30-year period, right?
True.
And even a 30-year period getting 8%, you're still going to be wildly wealthy comparatively to if you didn't invest.
Fair.
And so I don't look at it in snapshots because you're right. If I looked at my 401k for the last year, I'm going to throw up. When you see negative 16%, negative 18%, it hurts your heart when you're like, I'm dumping money into this and the number is going down. It's going the opposite way, right?
Yes.
And so I encourage you you can look at it every so often, but the fact that you're here with a 2.2 million net worth, at what age are you?
33.
At 33 years old is mind-boggling.
My husband's 32, yes.
How did you guys get there? Because most people are going, is Amy crazy? Because she's saying should she be discouraged? And here she is with $2 million at 33 years old.
I mean, I'd like to say I did the baby steps, and I really did.
It's
but
okay
in
if
fairness,
you didn't.
I was never in baby step 2. I never had any debt.
Okay,
Great.
so you just avoided that completely. And what age did you start investing?
As soon as I got out of college, 2011.
Okay, and that was 12 years ago. And beyond that, has anything else changed? Did you get an inheritance?
No.
This was all just 401k, your house, your cars?
Yes, sir.
What do y'all do for a living?
Surprise, surprise. We're both engineers.
Love it. Love it. Hey, how are you invested right now? What are you investing in?
So right now it's a mix between personal residence, 401k, my company stock, which I am diversifying just gradually, and obviously Roth IRAs. So.
And are those in mutual funds, index funds?
I mean, mainly mutual funds. ETFs sometimes, but not for, it's still, I do 10%, track record over 10 years and all those things.
Do you have an advisor? A financial advisor?
I do.
Okay.
I do. That's why I'm like wondering, it's always my fault, right? I'm not going to blame him, but should I make any changes?
Well, it wouldn't hurt to get a second opinion. We've got great smart investors. If you want to sit down with them, you can find them on the Ramsey Solutions website. But it is nice to sit down just to double check to make sure that they're investing your money well. Have you thought about getting a second opinion?
Yes. And, obviously I'm always learning, right? So I'm always, and it's, as we said, it's him advising me and I make the final decision. So it's always my choice of what I am investing in. And obviously I don't ever invest in anything that I don't actually understand. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm...
Well, if you want some encouragement, just look at history. You can go look at charts of the S&P 500 over the last, decades of years. And I'm looking at it right now and I'm seeing, okay, actually out of the last 12 years, we were only down 2 years. And here's what you're looking at. 2022, we were down 18%, which is skewing your average number, isn't it?
Exactly. I am an engineer, so it's
And so 20 years from now, we're going to have way more up years than down years if you just look at it historically, and that's going to change that average number. So I wouldn't focus on that average number and lose sleep over that specific number because it's not really an accurate representation. What we're trying to tell people is over the course of time, your entire career, your money is going to grow at a significantly higher rate than if you don't invest or you invest in something super volatile.
Gosh, this is such a great question, though. Way to go, Amy. That's amazing. I love just the level of ownership you have over it and the fact that you're continuing to ask questions.
Inspiring.
Anybody at 32 who has $2.2 million is just incredible.
Those would be the people going, I'm a little discouraged by my 8% return. I'm like, that's the kind of nerdery that will lead you to wealth and keep it. Way to go, Amy.
Awesome. All right, up next we have Brian calling from Boston. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Is it Bryn?
Bryn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We thought we lost a vowel there. We did. Good to have you.
How can we help?
My husband and I are looking to see what we should do with saving up money, and we're trying to see if we should focus on paying our mortgage off or if we should put up a garage apartment on the property because that would create a rental income that would help us pay the mortgage faster.
How much is this addition going to cost?
So it would be anywhere from $80,000, but probably closer to $100,000.
What's left on the mortgage?
$265,000.
Do you have the money right now to do the addition?
No, we're saving towards that. We don't have that right now.
Okay, about how far are you from that?
We don't. We really just started doing everything about a month ago. Starting January 2023 is when we just sort of
cast the vision.
Yeah. We have, right now in savings, we don't have a separate savings outside of we have a fully funded 6-month emergency fund.
Awesome.
And aside from that, then we also have savings of what the mortgage payments will be for this year in an account that we're going to use.
Okay. So you have 1 year worth of mortgage payments sitting in another savings account?
Yes.
And what's that for?
That is for the mortgage for this year because our income is it goes up and down. Because
what do you guys do? Okay.
Yeah, the bartender. So.
Well, I'm from Boston. People drink year-round there. I've seen it.
Yeah. Where we live,
it's not a very seasonal business.
In the summer, it's when it's really busy where we live.
Okay. Could he do something in the wintertime to supplement it?
Yeah, so that's what we're looking to do this year. And then I have, in November, we'll probably make another $30,000. I have an Etsy shop, so usually I'll do about that in November.
Okay. Well, Bryn, mathematically, I don't think it's wise to build this addition right now. I think if you look at it on paper and you take 80 to 100 grand and throw it at the mortgage instead of putting it into an addition that you then need to ROI on. You need to get the return on this investment, which is going to take a long time in addition to helping you pay down the mortgage. So I'm taking what's in that account with those mortgage payments on top of this extra 30, on top of your income, and let's just focus on this house. And later on, once it's paid off, if we want to build that addition for some extra income, we do that and cash flow it.
That's good.
What do you think, Christina?
I'm with you. And there's just the factor of being a landlord and having somebody else live on your property. There's a lot that goes into it. And we've taken so many calls recently with people who are doing remodels that cost a lot more than they anticipated to begin with. So there's also just that factor of the unknown and the time it'll take. I say lean into that momentum and keep going. Mm-hmm. We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show.
We've been doing business at Ramsey for more than 30 years. By now, we're a well-oiled machine, but it wasn't always that way. Yes, we've always had a vision, always had determination, and a drive to help people. But what we didn't have was one central place to access all our numbers so that we could get further ahead or quickly see when we needed to pivot. We were always jumping back and forth between different systems and spreadsheets. So when NetSuite by Oracle helped us wrangle our revenue, inventory, expenses, and more into one place, it was a game changer. And NetSuite's #1 cloud financial system can help your business gain the same visibility, because businesses thrive on timely data. And NetSuite's real-time analytics can help your business have immediate access to your numbers daily, so you always know where you stand and you can move quickly. So go to netsuite.com/Ramsey today and set up a free product tour. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. All right, George, I want to talk about something that is really hot in the news now, and it's going to keep going up in the next few weeks. Student loan forgiveness.
You've been keeping up with the latest, hottest, trending student loan forgiveness news.
So spicy.
Gosh.
Well, I know a lot of you out there are feeling like it's pretty spicy because this really affects a lot of people. A lot of people have been having these questions for so long. This pause has been kicked down the road so many times. For a while, everybody was celebrating, hitting piñatas, thinking their loans were going to be forgiven. And then it's like the other direction. So I just talked to so many people who are confused and overwhelmed and just waiting to see how this case plays out.
This is a classic will they or won't they. What a tease. This is like Tom Brady's career. Are you going to retire or not, man?
All right. So the updates. 2 court cases will begin arguments with the Supreme Court or in the Supreme Court on February 28th. So next Tuesday. That's when things finally take center stage. And the courts should technically make a decision by the end of June. Now, okay, so this is kind of how it's supposed to play out. In each case, the suing party has to first establish standing, basically showing that somehow this program adversely affects them. So they have to prove that before the case moves forward. Now, these cases, one case is brought by several states and the other is by individuals. And I think the states are saying that it affects their taxes negatively, and the individuals are basically like, hey, we have loans too, and this doesn't help us. So they're trying
to strike the forgiveness down, and so they have to prove they have a case to do this.
They have to prove they have a case.
Over the next few months.
So let's say they do that, it moves forward. Now, the Biden administration is trying to use the HEROES Act to justify moving forward with the forgiveness. Now, the HEROES Act, it basically says that the president has power to make changes during a crisis without congressional approval.
That feels like a pretty squishy loophole.
Right. And that's what a lot of experts are saying. That's kind of the argument.
Authority to make changes versus like, here's $1 trillion in student loan forgiveness feels like a jump.
Well, and that's part of the challenge is like they've declared that the pandemic is over. And yet they're saying that because of the pandemic, we're going to do student loan forgiveness, which a lot of people are saying that feels political. It feels like a way to kind of push a political agenda forward when this doesn't really target people who had COVID, right? Like they're saying it's because of COVID, but it doesn't target people who have COVID. So anyways, it's interesting because we could have these arguments all day about like, is it right? Is it wrong? And what do we feel about forgiveness? Is it fair? All of those arguments, but that's not really the Supreme Court's job. Their job is to decide if this version of forgiveness is legal or not, and whether or not this is an overreach of presidential power.
Juicy stuff. So they're not going like, does this pass the vibe check? They're going, does this pass like the constitutional vibe check?
Right, exactly. Well, and it's super important.
I'm trying to really bring it down for Gen Z, okay, Christina? And really for me to understand it. That's the truth.
Well, it's important because it also sets a precedence for future cases about what the president has power to do or not. I know a lot of people are rooting for it to go through, but it's also important to think about the long-term impact of that, because it's like a future president could then decide something that you don't like. So It's a little spicy, George. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, especially with the future implications. Okay,
So what are the outcomes that could happen?
there are three major possible outcomes. So one is that it's shot down early, basically. The parties can't establish standing, and the cases are dismissed. And this would basically clear the way for the program to move forward, but it wouldn't prevent other cases from being filed. So technically somebody else.
It's a temporary win for the Biden administration to go, all right, we got that one down. Now we got to hope no one else comes after us.
Exactly.
To stop this thing.
Somebody else could sue, and then we could be back in this mess again of like waiting for the next trial date to see what happens. Okay, another option is that the case moves forward and the program is deemed legal, and this would clear the way for the Biden administration to move forward with full loan forgiveness. And then the third option is that the case moves forward and loan forgiveness is struck down. And then that would be back to the drawing board for Biden, and forgiveness would likely not happen.
Back to square one.
Back to square one. So basically, all this being said is that I think there's been a lot of hype about next week. The case is starting. You know, it's going before the Supreme Court on the 28th. But it could be a while before we really know what's going to happen. Like, this is just the baby beginning phases. And I know that's hard to hear if you are sitting there waiting and have been waiting literally for years to figure out what's going to happen. Like, that's kind of frustrating hearing that. But it is, hopefully, we will have something by June 30th. And basically, if we don't have like an official set outcome by June 30th, then student loan payments are supposed to begin 60 days after that. Ooh. So it's either the case is ruled and payments begin 60 days after the case is closed, or 60 days after June 30th.
But Biden could extend the pause again.
Right.
That's always a possibility.
That's
Just keep
always
kicking the can down the road.
I mean, I have been shocked several times in this whole process. Several times I'm like, surely not. There's no way it's going to be extended again. And I continue to be surprised.
Don't you wish we could extend things in our life? Like the term papers due. I'm like, I'm going to need another extension, teach.
Right?
Or like, hey, my taxes are due. I'm gonna kick that down another few months if you don't mind, IRS.
Or a couple years.
That'll be nice.
You know.
So is this going to be televised, like C-SPAN level? Like, can we watch this for entertainment?
I don't know. I don't know that many people want to watch every detail of the court case, but maybe.
We all watched the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, okay? And that took way longer than this. And that was a lot less money on the line. We were talking millions. This is billions and billions of dollars.
Billions and billions of dollars. But I know we've been saying this all along with all this forgiveness stuff. There's so much anxiety around it. There's so much frustration. And if you want to really get rid of some of that anxiety, start working on paying them off. Take control. Don't wait on Washington to figure out what they're doing, because we have seen it's been quite a hot mess the last few years. And that being said, I know I mentioned it last week. If you're like, hey, I want to hedge my bets and wait to see if forgiveness is going to happen because it's right around the corner, then act like you're paying these loans off and start putting that money in a high yield savings account so that if for some reason it does or doesn't go through, you are ready to pay off these loans regardless. But we've been preaching, keep your eyes focused on getting these loans completely done.
That is a good word. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it's a lot, y'all.
What a mess.
We are with you and hoping this passes soon. All right, let's go to the phones. Next up, we have Hamza calling from Washington, D.C. Hey, Hamza, welcome to the show. Hey, welcome. How can we help?
Thank you. I just had a question. I was hoping you guys could help me out. I just finished paying off my student loans. It was about $11,000. So now all I have left is my car debt and my credit card debt. I have enough right now, if I were to withdraw my savings and stocks, to pay off my credit card debt. But I was wondering if that's the best choice or if I should just keep those in steady growth stocks. Right now I have them in VU. It's a Vanguard S&P 500 stock index fund.
Well, I love your heart for investing, but I want you to have a bigger heart for debt freedom right now. And we can get back to investing way more once we free up those payments.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
What's your credit card interest rate?
Credit card interest rate, it is about, I believe it's between 4 different credit cards. I think it ranges from 15 up to 24. And
you're thinking is I can invest and maybe make 8% instead of paying 24. The math isn't mathing on this. I'm using all the money. I'm cashing out in the stocks. Obviously, be aware of the tax implications of that. If you've had gains, make sure you have that set aside to pay that. Man, I'm paying all this off today. You're going to sleep differently tonight when you don't have payments in the world.
And that's what I've been contemplating all week. And then today I was writing out my financials, and I was like, well, should I pay it off today? And then I figured, why not call you guys to help me make that decision?
I love it. Absolutely pay it off today. And, I love that you have the investing muscle already there. That tells me you're going to build wealth so much faster once you don't have debt in your life. Cut up the cards. Don't look back. Don't worry about the credit score. There's all kinds of ways you can live life without the credit score. So if you're worried about that piece, don't be. We've got tons of resources on that. My fine print episode all about the dirty truth behind the credit score, and one on credit card rewards. There's just no reason to keep them around.
You are going to breathe much easier tomorrow. We're excited for you. We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225.
Hey guys, if you are wondering whether to buy or sell a home this year, here's what you need to know about the housing market. There's still more demand for homes than there are homes to buy, and the median home price is expected to keep rising, just at a slower rate. It's just cooling off, and interest rates likely haven't stopped going up. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you're buying a home, you're still going to be facing some competition out there and big price tags. And if you want to sell your home, chances are you can still make a nice profit. But you have to be patient for the right offer to come your way. So, of course, that all depends on where you are. Every market's going to be different. And it's why you need to work with an experienced real estate agent when you're ready to start the home buying or selling process. You want someone who's done this hundreds of times before and knows exactly how to negotiate a strong deal based on the current market in your location. You can find agents like that who are Ramsey trusted through our Endorsed Local Providers program. These are the top performing agents around the country who we trust to serve you well. If you want to get connected with one today, just go to RamseySolutions.com/agent. That's RamseySolutions.com/agent.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Up next, we have Michaela calling from Santa Rosa, California. Hey, Michaela, welcome to the show.
Hi, Christina and George. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, thanks for calling. How can we help?
So my husband and I got married at the end of this last year, just a few months ago.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. We're on baby step 3B/4. We both were investing debt-free with an emergency fund before we got married. Now we want to focus on saving up for a house. Being in California, we want to at least have $100,000 for a down payment, which will take us at least 2.5 to 3 years. Currently, with our incomes, we make together about $125,000 a year, but are expecting for that to increase slightly in the next few years at least. And so we're just on the fence about whether we fully stop investing. And I know you guys say to do that if you're going to be buying a house in the next 3 years or saving for a down payment in the next 3 years, but we're just not sure if we should decrease it, stop it altogether. Missing out on interest in the next, or compound interest in the next 3 years seems like a lot. We're both 31, so just wanted to keep that in mind.
Awesome. Well, you guys are plenty young, and here's the other side of that. If you pause investing, yes, you'll lose out on that compound interest, but if you keep investing and you slide on the home purchase, well, the home prices are a continual moving target in California, and so you might be now buying a house that is $50,000 more because you waited another year. So on either side, you feel like you're being crunched by time.
And exactly. That's why we just wanted your advice.
Yeah, so if I'm in your shoes, I mean, you could split the difference. You might go, we're going to pause investing for a year or two, but then begin investing and keep saving for the down payment.
Yeah, that's good. Have you kind of done, you said it's 2.5 to 3 years at the current rate to get to your 100K. Have you kind of mapped out what it would look like if you did with like what George said, where you kind of either do it, 1 to 2 years of savings and then start investing, or kind of played with different scenarios?
Yeah, so we've already decreased our investing down to about 7% just to have more money to be stocking up on the side for a house. That's about $800 a month that we are investing. So that would be $800 a month we can put more towards saving a house.
So if you did that, then what would the time trajectory be? Like if you
I know that would save another $25,000 in 3 years or just under 3 years. So it would cut it down probably about a year.
Okay.
Well, that's it with 3 years of $800 if I'm doing the math correctly. But
man, it's.
How much do you have an employer match with your retirement plans?
I don't, but my husband has a 3% match, so we'd keep that.
Okay. So you'd invest up to the match on his end. Yeah, I mean, you could split the difference if you want to have a little bit of both, have the cake and eat it too. You could invest, let's say, 5 to 10% and still have a little bit more margin on the down payment side to get there faster.
Okay.
There's not really a right or wrong answer here. It's kind of just running those numbers and saying, yeah, what's going to be the best scenario for y'all. And there may even be like the option of, so you make $125 total. Is that just 40 hours a week full time for each of you?
Yeah, I have the option for some overtime. He doesn't, but he's also more likely to get significant raises in the next few years where I'm not because I have a county job. So.
Okay. Well, I would focus on increasing the income. That would be my goal personally, is to invest 15%, save up for the down payment, and make up the difference by making more money. And that way, you kind of have the best of both worlds where you're still investing, you've got the down payment, you still will hit your goal of 2.5 to 3 years. So I would rather look at making more money first before pausing all investing.
Yeah, that's such a good question, though. I think a lot of people have that. And I know some of you are listening right now and you're like, baby step 3B?
There's a B?
There's a B? I thought there was just 7. So if you're a new listener and you're kind of like, what are all these baby steps or what is 3B? We've got something set up on Ramsey Solutions called Get Started. So you just go to the website, RamseySolutions.com, and click on the Get Started button, and we'll help you figure out the best next step on your financial journey based on exactly where you are. That's RamseySolutions.com/Get Started. All right, up next, we have Cameron calling from Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, Cameron, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much. Hope you guys are doing well.
We're doing well.
Question. Awesome. So, baby step 4, active duty military. What are the correct or the best percentage allotments for the C, S, and I fund and the TSP, assuming those are still the funds that you guys recommend? And then secondly, is it just set and forget after that? I mean, after I set those percentages and maintain them throughout as I get promoted and get raises, is it just set and forget?
Can you talk directly in the phone? I missed the second half of the question.
I think I caught it all, but we're getting a little Kermit on the line there. Well, first of all, thank you for your service, Cameron. That's incredible. And you're talking about the TSP, which is the military's version of like a 401k. Cameron, do you have a Roth option with the TSP?
Yes, that's the one I've chosen.
Great. Okay, and you're spot on. So for those listening, you're going, what is he talking about, the CSI? So this is not a crime scene investigation. There are a bunch of different funds that you have within the TSP. There's G fund, F fund, C fund, S fund, and I fund. And Dave has recommended for years to stick to those last 3, the C, S, and I. So that's common stock investment, small cap stock index investment, and then international stock index investment. And so to get to the funds that mirror what Dave would recommend, 4 types of mutual funds, you want CSI, and the split that we now recommend and have for a while now is 80, 10, and 10. So 80 in the C fund, which is tied to the S&P 500. That's where you want the majority of your investing. 10% in the S fund, which includes stocks from these kind of small to mid-sized companies that have higher risk but also higher return, a little more aggressive. And then finally, that last 10% into the international fund, which has the overseas companies and is a good hedge against the U.S. market taking a dip. And yes, Cameron, I would stick with that all the way through. I wouldn't slow it down. If you want to slow it down, you could do 60% in the C fund, 20 in the S fund, 20 in the I fund if you wanted a different split. But I think the 80-10-10 is going to get you a great retirement.
Copy. Okay, thank you guys so much. Yeah, my main question was, it just seems so simple. Like, am I just setting this and forgetting it? So I guess that's the answer. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Your ministry has really impacted my life, and I'm so thankful for y'all.
Man, that means the world. Well, again, thank you for your sacrifice and your service. And it is that simple. A lot of people, they want to keep, kind of moving their investments around. And yes, as you get closer to retirement, a lot of the financial planning community says, hey, you should really shift these over to bonds. But the problem with that is if you retire for 30 years, Christina, and now you're shifted into bonds, you're going to see a much, much smaller return because of the less aggressive portfolio.
Yep.
So for now, I know I'm going to, retire for potentially 10, 20, 30 years. I want to stay aggressive so that I continue to get those returns that got me here.
That's so good. It's good to keep the full picture in mind. It's so easy to get laser focused on a small part of it, but I love that. And I just love the simplicity of it. I love that even his question was like, wow, it's that simple. That's good. I think a lot of times with money, especially investing, it feels overwhelming and overcomplicated. And I think especially now with everything in the market and everybody is a guru, there's just such an overwhelm. But a lot of times this money stuff, even if you've never invested before, a lot of it can be simple when you learn foundational principles.
Absolutely. And that Roth option uses after-tax money that grows tax-free. And so if you have $1 million in the Roth account, you have $1 million and you don't have to give Uncle Sam any of it.
It's amazing.
You already did. Here we go.
That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. We'll be back soon. Until next time, this is The Ramsey Show. Hey, it's Christina Ellis. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started. From the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm your host, Christina Ellis, joined today by my co-host, George Hamill. And we're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. If you've got questions about student loan forgiveness, how to pay off debt, going to college debt-free, anything that's on your mind. If you just need a second opinion, somebody to talk through it with, give us a call. Let's go to the phones. First up, we have Jessica calling from San Francisco, California. Hey, Jessica, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for taking my question.
We're happy you're here. How can we help?
So my husband and I are renting an in-unit house from family, but due to her drowning in debt, our utilities are constantly threatening to be shut off due to her not paying the bills. Should we stay and continue to take advantage of the great rent rate and save faster for a down payment, or move and pay significantly more and our saving gets slowed and stalled drastically?
Okay, tell us more about this situation. This sounds pretty dramatic. So have the lights been shut off yet?
No. In the past, since the beginning of the year, I would say we've had 3 different threats of either the PG&E and or water being shut off.
What's your relationship like with this relative?
She's my mother-in-law.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's tough. So then we've got a whole marriage dynamic, right? So how does how does your husband feel about this?
So my husband is a very loving soul, and he wants to fix everyone's problems. But we can't fix this problem for her. We've come to her and said, we're willing to pay a little bit more in rent, but our conditions are she has to get onto the Dave Ramsey plan, and we're willing to help her with that, but she doesn't want to.
What have the conversations been like when you say, hey, we would love to, have electricity and water. Could you, keep up with your bills? How does she take that?
Well, she feels insecure because the roles are reversed, right? Your parents are supposed to take care and mentor your kids, not the other way around.
Well, she's not doing a good job taking care of her son in this case. If that's the attitude she has towards it, both sides are struggling here. So what is she? Does she not have the money? Is she just misbehaving when it comes to her spending? What do you think the actual root of this is?
So I think the root of it is, recently she's been going through a pretty sticky divorce, and so that's been consuming a lot of money in attorney's fees. She also doesn't have a job, and we've been trying to help her pursue that route because she needs more of an income, and she just is not willing to do it.
So is your rent basically floating her life and covering her mortgage?
Basically. So right now she's in a situation where the only thing she is responsible for are the utilities and her personal finances, because her ex-ish husband is still paying the mortgage. So luckily we don't have the mortgage as a threat, but
so where does your rent payment go?
That is an excellent question. I would love to know that myself.
Because he's just paying. Does he live there too? Who's living in this place? You said it's in unit?
Yeah, so it's a large property. So there's the primary house that you would see from the street, and then in the back half of the property there is a whole separate unit. That's like an in unit, a 1-bed, 1-bath. So that's what we live in.
Who's in the primary?
Just her, so my mother-in-law, and then her special needs son.
So what's going to happen with this divorce, with the property?
She's going to lose it. And
which would mean you guys are out too?
So we're not out because I was smart enough to get a lease that protects us from that. So,
but you're going to be leasing from her ex-husband at that point?
Yes. So we'll just change who we pay from.
I feel like that would change the dynamic with my landlord drastically.
Yeah. This whole situation sounds a little Jerry Springer and not very fun. If I'm in your shoes, I'm getting out. Like this is pretty toxic as is, and I think you know that, but I'm sure it's complicated. So if your husband, this is his mom, and you said he's the nicest soul, he wants to help her. When you've thrown out the idea of, hey, maybe we should move somewhere else, how does he take that?
I think that his primary concern right now is that he really, really wants to leave, but he wants to do so. He wants to move into our first home is his thing. But being in California, in the Bay Area, that's tough to do without a sizable down payment. So that's kind of where we're stuck in between.
So how much money do you guys have right now?
So right now that we could pay comfortably in a down payment, we probably have like $35,000.
Okay, and what's a home price you'd be looking at in that area?
In this area, homes start at roughly $550,000.
Okay.
And what are you paying in rent right now to your mother-in-law?
Right now, it's great. I pay about $1,000 a month.
Okay, and you said it's a one bedroom?
Yeah, one bed, 1 bath. I mean, we couldn't find anything else better.
What's your household income?
Our household income is about, I would say, probably $90,000 a year.
Okay. Well, living in the Bay Area, I would assume you guys are going to have to up that income before you even get out of there.
Yeah.
And so that would be A1 is let's up the income so that when we do get out and rent maybe double, we can still float it. So I don't think we're quite ready for home ownership. I would sign a lease for 6 to 12 months at the next place while you continue to save up the down payment and get the income up. I don't know that you're going to be able to make a leap immediately from this place into home ownership. That feels scary to take on, $400,000 or $500,000 making 90.
Well, and George, if you're in her shoes, what would you do? Would you go ahead and just take higher rent and live somewhere else, or stay?
I would have an exit strategy. If we can't, now we don't. When is the divorce going to be settled? Do we know?
I mean, it's been going on for 4 years, so
it could be another year. So when is your lease up?
Yeah, my lease is up in a year and a half.
Oh wow, that's a long lease. Well, I would have an exit strategy so that if things keep going south, we can get out easily, and hopefully you can get out of this lease, right? Are you stuck in this lease?
Yes. I am not stuck in this lease.
Well, and I'm assuming with the fact that they're literally having issues with their utilities, there's got to be some way to get out of it if they can't provide basic.
Yeah, why aren't the utilities in the ex-husband's name and he takes care of it if he's taking care of the mortgage?
Because he didn't want to. I mean, he doesn't live there, and so he's like, I'll pay for the mortgage because he has a construction business on the back half of the property, so he still needs access to the property. but
This
he
just
doesn't want to
keeps
pay for the
getting
utilities
messier.
or.
I would have an emergency family meeting with everyone involved, as messy as it may be, and go, listen, we're in the middle of this nightmare. We need a solution here. We need someone to pay the bills on time. Be adults. I know divorce is hard and messy, but you guys are in the middle of this thing too, and you have to take care of yourselves financially. So I'm getting an exit strategy and getting out of there, and that means getting the income up and saying bye-bye to this weird ex-husband mortgage situation.
I'm with you, George. We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show.
Y'all, there's a lot you can't control when it comes to healthcare, but there is something you should check out that can help. Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is not insurance. It is budget-friendly, biblically based health cost sharing. That means a community of members helping share the burden of each other's healthcare costs. They help people just like you in all 50 states. So see if CHM could be right for your family. Learn more today at chministries.org/budget.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. All right, y'all. I know a lot of you guys have questions about taxes. It's tax season. Whew. I know I can feel a lot of people breathing a little heavier just thinking about it. We get it. Taxes are confusing. But to help you get a better handle on them, let's unpack one of the questions that we got from one of our listeners. They wrote, what's the difference between a tax deduction and a tax credit?
This is juicy stuff, Christina. The stuff they didn't teach you in high school. They were like, Pythagorean theorem, here's when the War of 1812 happened. Spoiler, 1812. But they didn't teach you about taxes. And so this is a common confusing point with taxes. What is the difference between a deduction and a credit? So let's go through this real quick. A deduction lowers your taxable income. And so you simply subtract the deduction from your income, and that is what the government sees that you actually owe taxes on. Now, credit, on the other hand, is actually a dollar-for-dollar discount on what you owe. So let's say you do your taxes, your income was $70,000. At the end of the tax return, you owe $1,000. Well, a $500 credit will slash your bill down to $500 left. And so the credits are awesome because it's discounting that final total. The deduction is lowering the taxable income. And there's tons of deductions and credits out there. On the deduction side, you've heard of the standard deduction, which is what most people do. It doesn't make sense to itemize for a lot of people. Medical deductions, charitable deductions, business deductions, and then credits. You've heard this one because of the pandemic, the earned income tax credit, the child tax credit. There are some education credits, dependent care credits. And so those are all really good to look into. And if you want more tax tips like that and software that helps you file on your own with confidence, you can head to ramseysolutions.com/smarttax. It's just $19.95 right now to file your federal return online. And there is no hidden fees like the other guys. There's no sneaky offers that are going to put you into debt. Just go to ramseysolutions.com/smarttax.
That was a good explanation, George. And I think it's so true. These are so many things that we wish we would have learned in high school. But you get out in the real world, and when you try to look up taxes, a lot of times the stuff is so confusing.
Well, it takes you to the IRS website, which, bless them, not the simplest explanation a lot of the time.
Right. So we've tried to make it simple for regular people just trying to do their taxes and get through this season. All right, let's go back to the phones. Next up, we have Sam calling from Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, Sam. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, we're doing well. What's up?
Well, I'm at a point where I'm kind of starting over. Went through a divorce a few years ago, and I feel like I'm kind of behind a little bit. I'm 39. I'm just now starting to probably, I would say, make a pretty decent salary. But on the good side, I paid down a lot of my debt. I only have probably like $5,000 to maybe $6,000 worth of debt. And the company that I work for, they do give me a 401k under the BlackRock 401k plan.
Okay.
That I was listening to y'all to max it out. So I've been doing that, but where I'm stuck at is I'm renting an apartment right now for about $1,300 a month. But I'm about a few more months, my lease will be up, and I'm trying to decide, should I buy a home? Because, like, it's just me. I don't have any kids or anything. It's just me. But should I still go in and get a home that I'm going to settle down in, something that I sort of like, and just start tackling on that mortgage? Or should I get a home that's more of an investment to build, I guess, wealth or income?
How much money do you have in the bank right now?
Well, actually, in the bank right now, I probably have about $5,000. But in my 401k, I have close to $50,000.
Okay. So we're not going to touch the 401k because that you're going to get hammered with penalties as well as taxes on that. So we're going to ignore that. We're going to pretend that is money locked away until you actually retire. So aside from that, you have $5,000 to your name?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said you have $6,000 in debt left?
Yeah, and I'm going to get maybe a $2,000 income tax return.
Good. So that would leave you with about $7,000 in the bank?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much are you investing right now, percentage-wise, of your income?
Well, the company I work for, Frugal, they right now they're matching me 4%, but I'm putting in 12%. But on their website, it suggests that I should be putting in 15%.
Okay. Well, man, they must be following the Ramsey plan, encouraging people to invest 15%, which is what you should do once you are out of debt with a fully funded emergency fund. And so you are not quite there. You're close, man. Once you get that tax refund, you're going to be able to pay off all of your debt in one day, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what I was thinking that, but I just felt like, man, I'm 39. I'm supposed to already be, $300,000 in the savings. I'm supposed to already have a house. Been in.
Man,
So
you got to run your own race, Sam. I know you feel like you're behind. You've been through it, man. You got knocked down with that divorce, and that's okay. But the goal now is not to make it look like you're ahead. The goal is to actually get ahead. And that means getting out of debt and getting a fully funded emergency fund first.
Well, and sometimes whenever we kind of feel that shame and we feel that frustration that we're not further along, we can be more likely to try to rush things when we're not quite ready. And you're not quite ready to buy a home. You're not far from it. You'll be there soon. But like George said, we want to do this the right way. We want to build wealth that's really, really going to last. So I know right now it's going to feel like we're asking you to kind of take a step backwards and, pause investing, pay off that debt, get your fully funded emergency fund, and then invest. But this is just going to be for a brief season so that when you move forward with investing, you have a really strong foundation. And also when you buy that house, you got to at least 5% down, hopefully closer to 20% down. We want to buy the house the right way. So I would first kind of work through the emotions and just that feeling of I'm behind, I got to hurry and get ahead, because that can set you off course.
Sam, what's your income?
I'm a truck driver. Local. Last year I made about 88.9.
Awesome. We have a great income there. And so here's the plan. Pause investing for a season. You're going to go down to 0%. It's going to hurt, but it's going to light a fire under you, and it's going to give you more money in your bank account to get through these baby steps. So your next goal after that, you want $1,000 in the bank. You have that. Any other money, we're throwing it at that debt. It's going to be gone real soon, and then we will have no payments. We'll have $1,000 in the bank, and we're going to add to that with a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. What does that look like for you? Maybe $15,000?
Yeah, honestly, I have one other thing I wanted to throw at you guys. I have a car, and I owe. I have it paid off early, but I only owe $748 left on it.
Okay.
But I do got high mileage on it, but it's an Infinity, but it still runs great. But I guess I was thinking don't jump out there and get another car payment. And then I wanted a mortgage, but in the Charlotte market, you do feel the pressure to hurry up and get something because they make you feel like prices are going to jump so much every month you wait. So that's why I was feeling the pressure.
Well, the price doesn't matter if you're hanging on to that car. So why not just pay it off today and just drive it until the wheels fall off?
Yeah.
Who are you trying to impress?
Myself.
Well, you know what? I'd be impressed if Sam gets out of debt and stays out of debt and starts to build for his new future. For Sam, not for anyone else.
Yeah.
And so I know it's going to take longer. You're behind other people, but you're further ahead than other people. And so the truth is, who gives a rat's you-know-what about this situation? You need to do what's right for you, Sam, and that is pause investing, get out of the debt, get the emergency fund. You know what to do, but it's hard to do it all with focused intensity.
Well, and picture 10 years from now, Sam. Make that guy proud. Like, don't have that guy be calling the show because he's got $20,000 left on his car loan and he's frustrated because he's not actually where he wants to go. This Sam has the potential to really be way further ahead in 10 years. So focus on that guy. We're rooting for you. We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show.
Look, I love real estate, and I want you to have a house, but I don't want a house to have you. That's why you need to get in touch with Churchill Mortgage to make sure you do this right. These guys are awesome. They'll help you get on a smarter mortgage plan because they're committed to doing what's right for you. That means they check in every year with free consultations to help you stay on the right plan. They show you how to save money and interest so you can build wealth faster. They walk you through the total cost of your loan so you can make the best choice. Basically, they care. That's why we call them Ramsey Trusted. You can achieve debt-free home ownership, and Churchill is here to help. Go to their site, churchillmortgage.com/Ramsey, to start your approval or get more information.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. All right, it's time for our question of the day. Today's question comes from Peter in Tennessee. My wife bought 5 horses using credit cards without my knowledge while I was out of the country. Uh-oh. We've reconciled after that rocky stage in our marriage, and we decided to sell the horses. She's sold 3 of the horses, but now 1 of the 2 remaining horses is sick. She argues that we need to restore the horse's health so that we are able to sell it. She bought the horse for $5,000 and hopes to sell it for $2,000 if it's healthy. I would like to euthanize the horse, but my wife doesn't have a problem going into more debt to save it. How do we define a limit on expenses for the horse's recovery, after which, if he doesn't get well, we can just decide for euthanasia?
Oh, my goodness.
George, are you sweating?
I have a sordid past with horse-related questions on the show, Christina. If y'all know, I took a call a long while ago with Rachel, and I told a girl to sell the horse.
That call is like legendary now.
Yeah, and so to get this is not a trolling. Like this, someone actually sent this question in. This is not trolling from the booth guys. And it listen, I will say this: horse people. There's 2 kinds. They're either very wealthy or they're broke, and this is like an addiction level.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If this was gambling, we would say you have a problem. So they're trying to get out of this mess. Obviously, I am not a part of the equestrian community. I did look up options for this, and here's my take. I don't think they should sink money into this thing, and I don't think they should euthanize the horse.
Ooh.
I think there's another option.
Let's hear it, George.
Because what they're saying is, hey, should we sink another $5,000 into the horse to get it back on its hooves? All to then sell it for $2,000. So either way, they're losing a ton of money on this. My option would be, why don't we try to market the horse privately or look into horse rescues that would be willing to take this horse on and help it recover?
That's good, George.
Doesn't that feel like a better option?
Yes, that's good. That's good. That's a good in-between spot where it's like no more debt,
I mean,
no more
obviously,
saving money.
we can all agree euthanasia is a worst last-ditch option.
Right.
Not the option we want to go with if we can get the horse on its feet without sinking too much money into it.
Well, George, you actually love animals. I feel like you got a lot of hate
do.
from HorseGate, but you actually have quite a strong relationship and don't want the horse to die.
Absolutely. So, yes, if you're gung-ho about trying to help this horse recover, I would set a limit and say, listen, let's get an estimate from the vet. And if we're willing to do that and we're willing to cash flow it, meaning we're not going to go further into debt for this, then I would look into the recovery. But if you're going to have to go into more debt, we're getting rid of the horse and giving it to someone who can financially take care of it.
That's good. I feel like that's a win-win. That's a win-win on that. And then I would also recommend y'all go through FPU again, Financial Peace University, because it sounds like y'all worked through some of the marriage issues. You know, you sold horses and all of that, but that desire to still go into debt is still there with your wife. She hasn't had that I've had it moment. The fact that she's, kind of immediately going to, oh, well, let's just, spend money on a credit card to help heal the horse. Like that's not a strong foundation. So I would work through that, maybe even consider going through some financial coaching. Because there's been a lot that's happened in your marriage.
That trust that was breached is the most pressing matter in this whole situation. That's hard to repair.
Well, and it's hard to see once again, you've been through so much with the fact that she went into debt for the horses to begin with, and now she's immediately going, hey, here's an issue, let's go into debt again. Like that's got to kind of spark something on the inside. Yeah, but George,
horse problems.
I think that everybody needs a little bit of an update on HorseGate.
Oh my goodness, do I have an update for you? So we just did a Building Wealth event in Indianapolis, and Katie, who is the person that called in with the horse call, who I told to sell her horse and I said worse things, was at the event. She drove 5 hours to be at the event, and we're cool. We've messaged on Instagram. I love getting updates from her. She was awesome. And our social team was there, and they made a little clip. And so if you're listening on radio, it'll be hard to follow. I'm going to recap it after we're done, but let's check out that update on HorseGate.
George, you know your horse story?
My horse story?
The horse.
Oh, sell the horse?
The horse story, to sell the horse.
Could you sell the horse?
I can't.
Why not?
I've had this horse 11 years, and
Katie. There's other horses out there. It doesn't even know your name. Or horses for you on the other side.
George.
Listen, I want Katie to win.
Yeah, she's here.
Katie's here?
She's here.
Did she bring the horse?
You were like kind of mean to her. Now you have to face her in person.
I'm excited. We're friends now. We hang out on Instagram. All right, we're ready for the photo finally. Look at George. He even looks like me. He has my email here from high school. Just tell me the dog doesn't even know my name.
Yes. George, the dog doesn't even know your name.
It hurts as much as I thought it would hurt.
So happy. Can't go do anything without somebody saying, what would George say?
I hope the Christian community
go horses. I really hope they don't hate you. I don't hate you.
That's what I'm telling them. Like, no, we're friends.
You go far under my leg.
Oh, thank you so much. Wow. What an interaction. She stuck around. She came to the meet and greet. I signed her book. She gave me a picture of a new horse she got named Goose, and she nicknamed it George. And this comes up with her friend group, as it does with mine. A week has not gone by without mentioning this situation. And I signed her book, and I said, the horse does know your name. And so we had a beautiful full circle moment, and I got an update from her on where she's at with her debt-free journey. So when she called in, she was about $120,000 in debt, making about $36,000 working for the USDA full-time, and couldn't find a side hustle in her rural community. The horse was bringing in $300 a month. It was injured. She lost that side hustle. And so since then, she has paid $12,393, and she has a goal to pay off the remaining $113K in the next 2 years because she got a new side hustle painting interior houses.
Oh.
So she's already made like $5,000 doing house painting, and she enjoys it. It makes great money. And so there was a happy ending to this story.
That's great. And I think that's important to note because you got a lot of hate for that.
Well, here's where I went wrong. And I immediately regretted this after it came out of my mouth when I said the horse doesn't know your name. because I know horses have like deep connection, soul level connections with their owners, and it's a beautiful thing. And no, the people are like, would you sell your dog? And I was like, no, my dog doesn't need a farm. Now, my dog was thousands of dollars because they're luxury designer dogs. That's just what we like. But no, I would not sell my dog.
I mean, would you be sad if somebody said they didn't know your name?
My dog for sure doesn't know my name. My dogs are not the brightest. Horses are way smarter.
I feel like that's a healthy relationship with your animal.
It is. But I do stand by the fact that, I mean, she emailed into the show and she was like, this is a prize-winning horse. It's worth $20,000. I was like, oh no, Katie, you're only making my point to sell the horse. And as we see, it's not an ethical, moral thing. If you sell a horse, that's fine. You're not a bad person if you sell a horse. But me telling someone to sell the horse was apparently where the line is.
That's probably the way you said it.
The way I said it. But here's why. I cared more about Katie's future than I did her present day horse. That was the truth. I wanted to see Katie win, and looking at the numbers on paper, it hurt my heart because I'm going, oh my gosh, there's no way out of this thing. It's going to take a decade or more to get out of debt, which is not okay. And she's young, she's vibrant, she has a whole life ahead of her, and that is why I gave her that advice. She did not take it. She did sell one of her horses that was kind of retired and bought this newer one.
Oh.
So, horse people, let me tell you, they are intense, they are diehard, and they're willing to spare no expense for their beloved horses.
Man, well, and it's nice to see a full circle moment and to see her acknowledge, like, hey, that was good advice. But I think that visceral reaction is pretty common whenever you're trying to get out of debt. And there's a lot of things you might be willing to sell. There's a lot of things that you're willing to part with. But there are certain things, especially with guys and trucks,
it's a no-go
seems to be
zone.
like the woo.
Yeah. And you heard her at the end. She said, you lit a fire under my butt. And whenever I'm making a decision, my friends go, what would George say? And so I like that I got into her head in that way. Just going, what could you do? Get creative. What are you willing to sacrifice so that the next 20 years of your life don't suffer in mediocrity, that you can actually get to where you want to go and not have anything hold you back? So that was the heart of it. Katie, you're awesome. If you're watching out there, we are cheering you on this debt-free journey, and I can't wait for your debt-free scream. Please bring the horse.
Please bring the horse.
I don't know if we can get
That'll
in the
be a first.
That'd be amazing. That would
Dave will love
definitely be a
that.
first. We're going to need a cleanup crew on that day.
Oh, gosh. We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Up next on the line, we have Ellis calling from Jacksonville, Florida. Hey, Ellis, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you guys so much for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. How's it going?
Pretty good. So I have a question that I was wondering if you guys are able to help me. So I'm currently trying to figure out what exactly would be the best option for me, at least in my situation. My former job, I had a 401k that I was contributing to, as well as with an employer match, and I'm no longer at that job. So since I'm no longer at that job, I was having a conversation with a coworker at my new job, and they were saying that since I no longer work there, I'm eligible to take that money out of that 401k. So I was wondering if that would be a good idea for me to do to help pay off my debt.
Who told you this and why? And do you trust them financially? Because I wouldn't.
Not necessarily trust them, but they do have like a lot more years of experience on me. So
and they said you can just take money from this 401k and do what you want with it?
Well, they said that it's possible I could take it out. I know that it would be taxed if I did take it out just because I'm no longer at that job.
Yeah, not only are you going to have to pay your income taxes on that, there's also going to be an early withdrawal penalty of 10%.
Right.
So not only is that a very expensive way to get money, you're also robbing the future growth of that money in retirement.
Okay.
So this is a terrible idea.
Yeah, bottom line, wouldn't do that.
So let's look at other ideas that are better. So you have some debt you're looking to pay off, correct?
Yes.
How much?
Yes. Roughly around $43,000.
Okay, what kind of debt is it?
$2,000 is about in a car loan. I have $1,000 and some change in a personal loan. Around $8,000 credit cards, and the rest are my student loans.
Okay. And what's your income?
I get paid weekly, so probably monthly I take home maybe about like $1,400 is my take home.
Okay. And what are you doing for work?
I work for like an IT staffing company.
IT staffing. Okay. And what is the current timeline for you to pay this debt down if you just used your income?
If I just used my income, probably in 2025, like early 2025, late 2024.
Really?
Yes.
What did you said your income is $1,400 a week?
Or
what's your annual income?
Well, every 2 weeks. But annually, I'm projected to make, not including bonuses, probably around like 45.
Okay, that's where the math isn't adding up for me as to how you'd pay this off in under 2 years.
I'm not sure. That's just what the calculator said when I put in the numbers.
Okay.
I do have a side business as well, so I do get a little bit of income off of that. So sometimes, like, I sell things online, and then I have my own, like, I make candles, so I have a candle business on the side as well.
Awesome. So if we ramped both of those things up, how much more could you add to your yearly income? If you went really hard doing that.
I would say probably if I worked really, really hard, especially with the candles, because there's a lot of money to be made there, I say I could probably add at least maybe this year alone, maybe at least $5,000 to $10,000.
Awesome. And are you investing with your new employer?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. So I would encourage you to pause all investing and just focus on this debt and make that your one priority. How much money do you have in the bank?
I do have my $1,000 emergency fund. I do have maybe about $500 extra because I also planning on moving out of the state.
Okay. Moving out of the States?
Yes.
Where to?
Out of Florida. Moving out of Florida.
Oh, moving out of Florida.
I'm moving to Maryland.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
is that for a job?
Yes, for a job. I currently stay with family, so I can't really like stay here forever, and he has kids, so I kind of need to think of my next step.
So you're going to have to find a new job?
My job is in Maryland, so I was more than likely going to see if I could just transfer.
Okay. Awesome.
And do you want to move to Maryland?
I do want to move out of Florida, but like Maryland just seemed like a nice alternative.
I would just make sure, like, as you think through that move, cost of living in Maryland may be quite a bit more than Florida. So I would just run some numbers on that because you may want to wait a year or two until this debt is tackled. Granted, if you do want to move, especially if it's a raise, then that could be good. But just also make sure to factor in those extra things because you said with family you got to move out. But, you know, perhaps you could find somewhere in Florida on your own for the time being. But I will say, it's hard, George, because I've been getting this question quite a bit recently with the 401k option. A lot of people are getting tempted to pull it out, and it is tempting because, you know, with your income, you see that debt, and it's like, man, I could have this debt wiped out quick.
It looks like a shortcut.
It looks like a shortcut, but in the long run, especially when you factor in all the growth you would lose, it does not pay off. I know it's not fun thinking through, you know, paying this off and it taking 2 years, but in the long run, this will ROI so much more.
So, Ellis, here's the math on this. You have $43,000 in debt, and let's say you're going to pay this off in 2 years or less. That means you need to throw $1,800 total at the debt. And you can do this using the debt snowball method, which is smallest to largest, regardless of interest rate. Attack the smallest one with everything you can throw at it, pay minimum payments on the rest. And so if you do that and you start bringing in more income by selling stuff online, flipping stuff, any money you can scrounge up from the side hustles or selling stuff you have laying around the house, obviously getting a raise, maybe even switching jobs, that is going to help you do this faster. And then you can get to the fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months. That is your next goal once we have the debt paid off.
And you may want to sit down with a SmartVestor Pro because you do have the 401k and you've left jobs. They can do a rollover for you and figure out how to invest that in the meantime.
Yeah, is this a traditional 401k or is it a Roth?
It should be a traditional 401k.
Okay, so what you want to do is a direct rollover to a traditional IRA. That way there are no penalties. You never see the money. It just goes straight into another retirement account. And then you have options to invest way more than you would have in your 401k.
Okay.
How does that sit with you?
That's as well. Like, I did want to know just because, like, I knew that if I took it out, there'd be, like, a lot of penalties. They were nice enough to at least explain to me all the penalties that I would have to pay. So the guy was like, yeah, do you want to do it now? I was just like, let me call you back and let me talk to some professionals.
So who's the guy? Like, he's able to do this for you? I'm confused. Was it your employer?
No, he was just a coworker. He was just a coworker that was just talking.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, I'm going to gift you 1 year Financial Peace University and EveryDollar to walk you through this process. The videos are going to be super motivating. Watch all 9 lessons. Start that EveryDollar budget. Connect it to your bank account. Start tracking the transactions. You're going to start to feel the steam, and it's going to get addictive. You're going to go, okay, wait, we put $1,000 on the debt this month. How do we put $1,200 the next month and $1,500 the next month? That's fun.
That's fun. All right, well, stay on the line. Austin will get you set up. And I just love that she heard that from the coworker. It sounds tempting, right? It sounds like, ooh, like I can have my debt wiped out. But then she had that gut check and went, you know what? I'm going to talk to somebody else about this. Because I think right now that we're in such a culture where, there's TikTok people everywhere. There's everybody reading financial articles. There's so many things where it's easy for a lot of people to feel like they know a thing or two about money. And it's like the more I've listened and talked to some people, it's like the advice almost seems right, but then you're like, wait a minute.
Well, it always sounds good at face value because it feels like a shortcut. The problem with shortcuts is it doesn't lead anywhere worth going to because you end up further into debt or staying in debt longer. And so we're seeing a lot of this right now, Christina. People turning to HELOCs, they're turning to home equity loans, they're turning to 401k loans, 401k early withdrawals. These are all terrible options because we're not actually fixing the behavior that got us here. All we're doing is trying to pull it under the rug and go, and it's gone, but it's not because now we've created new problems for ourselves.
Right, and it's stealing from the future. When you get in some of those savings calculators and you see what you're losing in compound growth, it's like, man, it's not worth it. But it is so easy when your problem is right in front of your face and you're like, I've got this debt and I want it gone. It's easy to want to take a shortcut. And it's like, we want you to keep that anger and that feeling of like, I want this gone immediately, but do it the right way.
Yeah, if you feel like that's your only option, you don't have enough options. Keep looking.
That's good. That's good. Well, that puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. We'll be back soon. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey, George Camel here. If you love the show and you want a deeper dive on your money journey, we've got a weekly newsletter that gives you helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for the newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm your host, Ramsey personality Christina Ellis, joined today by my co-host, fellow Ramsey personality and friend, George Campbell. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. Hey, if you like the show, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with a friend. It helps us out and helps us connect with more people who are trying to figure out their money. All right, let's go to the phone. First up, we have Ethan calling from San Francisco, California. Hey, Ethan, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. How are you doing?
We're doing well. How can we help?
Yeah, so I am 22 years old. I'm going to be graduating this May with my bachelor's, debt-free.
Congrats.
And thank you. I got accepted to law school, which has always been a dream of mine. So,
congrats, man. That's big.
Yes, thank you very much. I have a good amount of money saved for school, and my options are I could either put all of this money towards law school and graduate law school debt-free, or I could go and take a student loan on for school and put all of that money towards 25 to 30% down payment on a house or condo, since I'm, interested in owning property. So kind of wanted to just get your opinion on either which one I should do, or if you have any other ideas.
Well, I feel such mixed emotions right now, because on one hand, I'm like, yes, you graduated debt-free and you have all this money saved up. That's amazing. But then hearing you say, maybe I'll take out a student loan and buy a house, makes me go, wait, no. You have done so well so far. Let's not be stupid now.
Here's how I look at this, Ethan. Imagine graduating law school debt-free, and you get to choose the employer because you're not desperate to pay back your student loan payments and have to choose some entry-level law job just to cover the bills, because now you have these huge student loan payments after taking a few $100,000 out. And so I love this idea of you graduating debt-free. You're going to have a great income. You're going to be able to cover rent. And once you graduate debt-free, all of your lawyer friends who are struggling to make their payments and cover the mortgage and they're trying to look good, instead, you now use your newfound income to save up that down payment and get this house and walk into it with peace.
And it would be a little bit different. So let's say that you were unsure about law school. I'd have a lot more questions about, maybe you go into the world and start working and buy your house and all of that. But the fact that this has been your dream, you have the money saved up, like you have done everything right up to this point. So finishing out, all the schooling that you want to do debt-free.
How much money are we talking is this going to cost?
I have $185,000 saved.
Back up. Okay, so how did this happen? You're 22 years old, 185 saved. Give us the details.
Yeah, I in high school I co-founded a company startup with a couple friends, and that actually exited last year. My portion of that was around $160,000 after taxes, and then the other 25 I've just saved over the years.
Oh my goodness, you're like boy wonder over here. Way to go, man! It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm so impressed. And, if I'm in your shoes, I'm going to law school debt-free and I'm buying a house after. And you're obviously brilliant. I wouldn't be surprised if you came up with a new company in the next 2 years and had the down payment, after you graduated from law school. But obviously you're going to be earning law school money, law school graduate money here soon. So it's like you're going to be able to save up that money for a down payment quick.
Really fast. And you're 22. You got so much time on your side, even if you're a homeowner at 27 instead of 22. I'm renting. I'm going to stay free right now while you focus on law school and not have to worry about home ownership and maintenance and repairs and all of that stuff that comes along with it. You just get to be free and have that flexibility.
Hey, Ethan, hang on the line. Austin's going to pick up and we'll get you a copy of Baby Steps Millionaires, because it is obvious that you are heading that direction. Keep it up, man. Keep making the good decisions. Don't get tempted by the allure of trying to rush things. Like, you are on an awesome course.
I want to be like Ethan when I grow up. I mean, can you imagine at 22 being like, I exited a company in the last year? I'm like, I was an idiot up until about right now. And so I'm just really impressed by that guy.
I mean, but you are doing well, George.
Sure.
For all
but I
the
wasn't
people...
exiting companies at 21 years old. I was collecting debt.
I mean, that is like my dream right now with trying to get to the younger generation, is to be able to, one, talk to parents to have, encourage them to have these money conversations, but also talk to students, because, if you can get in their head early and they can get passionate about their own money journey and get excited, it's like the things they can do. It's just incredible. I was actually working on writing yesterday and doing some math on the difference between if somebody took out a student loan and what that would look like to pay it off versus if they took that same amount of money and invested it. And it was like mind-blowing. It was like something like if they took the $267 payment that they would have been paying for 20 years on a student loan and they instead invested that money for 20 years, they'd have $215,000 saved up in 20 years versus the person with a student loan would have paid back $63,000. So the person with the student loan would have $0 at the end of that 20 years, and the other person had $215,000 saved up from the same payment. And then if you back that out and you go, okay, what if the $215,000 just sat in a savings account without any more, additions to it, and they just waited for 20 more years, they'd have over $1 million saved.
Wow.
Just based off of what that person paid in student loan payments. So it's like when you see that math, it's just mind-blowing, and it's so exciting thinking about talking to the younger generation, because it's like if you can grasp this early on, if you can have this click, you can become a baby steps millionaire early in life. And that is just awesome. I think you and I, we both made our fair share of money mistakes, and there's things we didn't know in our 20s where we're like, oh man, if we'd have just known that. And it's like, young people listening, parents with kids listening, you guys have the potential to do this early in life. You don't have to necessarily go through the University of Hard Knocks like so many of us have been through. And so it's just exciting hearing about people like Ethan, and just knowing that we have the power to influence this next generation where, they can have a great financial future and become millionaires early in life.
Well, I'm thinking that these generations are getting it because now they see all of their friends broke because of these student loan payments, hoping and wishing for someone to do something about it, shaking their fists at the clouds and at Biden. Or they can go, I'm going to figure out a way around this. I'm going to go to a community college. I'm going to look for those scholarships. I'm going to work part-time. And now the parents that went through FPU are going, I'm going to help my kid go to college debt-free. And so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, praying that we see an entire generation that goes, we're done with student loan debt. We're not taking this crap from the student loan companies anymore.
Oh, that's so good. That's my hope. Let's go. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. All right, George. So I leaned into it. I started doing Frugal February on Instagram.
Yes. Is it catching on like wildfire?
Yeah, people are loving it.
So we did the No Spend Challenge in January.
No Spend January, Frugal February. And as I was looking for ideas for Frugal February, I came across a post where someone saved 24 deodorant butts to melt them down into one full stick. So they saved...
There's a name for the end of deodorant?
Apparently.
Deodorant butts is what we're calling them.
Deodorant butts. It's a thing. It's a thing, I guess.
Like I could Google that and I wouldn't get fired or go to the HR office.
I mean, I don't know that I would suggest that. But
okay.
So they saved. And so in looking at Frugal stuff, I'm like, this person saved $4 but wasted a bunch of time and storage space. Like, that's dumb.
Yeah, I feel like I could have made more in that time than $4.
Exactly. I'm like, I would rather you go out and spend 5 hours working and make $100 than spend 5 hours scraping out deodorant from the tube and trying to make it, something useful.
A lot of effort.
So one of the things I'm saying is like, be smart about how you're being frugal.
Yes.
Like you'll see a lot of things online about different ways to be frugal, and some of them are good and some of them are dumb. And so trying to discern, what is a good frugal thing to do is important. So I found an article with a bunch of unusual money saving tips, and I want to get your feedback on them, Georgia.
It's not going to be good.
I want your yay or nay.
Okay.
All right. The first one I actually think is pretty good. Marry someone frugal.
Yay.
Yay. Number 2.
Love that.
Don't waste money on toilet paper. Use newspaper, junk mail, bills, and more.
Hard pass. That is the hardest nay you can get. I'm neighing like a horse over here on that one. Why?
No question?
Newspaper? That can't be good for you hygiene-wise.
Okay, what about this one? Double your toilet paper by separating it.
No. My parents didn't immigrate to this country for me to use one ply. Life is too short and that ply is too thin, Christina. That's disgusting.
Okay, what about this one? Limit your toilet paper usage to 2 sheets per wipe.
Why are these all TP-related money hacks?
It's like they know you.
Who's limiting
you have
themselves?
Strong feelings on toilet paper. Okay, what about this one? Cut your own hair.
No. Unless you work remote and never leave the house
I'm a yay
and wear
on that.
hats. Now, females maybe can pull it off.
Yeah, maybe. I think there's a lot of people post-COVID that are yay on that.
I can't just take a Flowbee to this, Christina. This is it's a Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, it's a sculpture.
You have very specialized hair. I will admit that. I don't know that I could do that. All right.
This is a Michelangelo.
Next one is to plant fake flowers in your garden. They last for years, require no maintenance, and are in full bloom in the winter.
I would argue just don't do any of that and just don't have plants if you're not going to plant them.
You look so horrified. I don't think your HOA would be okay with that.
A fake house plant inside, I can get behind that.
Okay.
For the looks.
What about, this next one is one man's trash is another man's treasure. It says there's no shame in going through the neighbor's trash once it's been placed outside for collection. It's public domain and you can pick up some great things that other people just don't want or need anymore.
If I saw my neighbor going through my trash, I would be calling the cops immediately.
So don't do that on George's property,
Don't even
y'all.
try it. That's got to be against HOA rules in my neighborhood.
Probably.
It's disgusting. What are you looking for in someone's trash?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's been a few times where I passed some trash on the road and saw something
now,
that
if
looked
there's
decent.
like a TV on the curb and you think you can fix it up, that's one thing. But to go through their filthy garbage to hope you find something? No.
Yeah, that's rough. Okay, This one says, take a vacation, quote unquote, at Christmas to save money on gifts. Just let everyone know you're going away for the holidays and we'll exchange gifts when you return. Then lay low, buy all your presents in the after Christmas sales for way less, and have a very happy new year.
So this is their money hack. Flee the country and let your family forget about you. Never have to buy them a gift again. Hey.
But you'll get a good sale after Christmas.
That's insane.
Okay, what about this one? Cover your floor with carpet samples. How about that for your new house? It says you can pick them up cheap and sometimes free at hardware stores. Just put them in squares and glue them down.
Just random loose samples all over the floor?
I guess.
I care too much about aesthetic and my own quality of life to do that.
Okay,
I'm above that.
You're above that? Okay. This one's really strange. I think this one, I'm just going to go ahead and say it's a nay before I read it. But donate your clothes, then buy them back. The local charity will clean them for you, and you can just pop back in a week, buy the ones you want for a few bucks. It's cheaper than a dry cleaner.
Okay. The idea that me buying my clothes back after I gave them for free is a money hack might be the stupidest one on this list so far.
Okay, how about this?
And also, you're hoping they clean them.
Right?
You been to Goodwill? That smell ain't the smell of freshly dry cleaned clothes.
So true. Okay, if you jumped on the hair bandwagon and you're cutting your own hair, how about this one? Old hair makes great stuffing for pillows.
I might throw up on air for the first time. Take old hair and stuff it into a pillow?
Yeah. This one, the actual suggestion is even worse. It says, if you don't cut your own hair, the local barbershop or hair salon will gladly give you the cuttings from the floor.
Listen, BuzzFeed has gone too far.
It's soft, free, and biodegradable. Oh, I cringe so hard at that one. I cut my own hair and I'm still not going to sleep on it. Ugh. Okay, the last one. Let's end on a decent one. It's flush with less water. Place a common house brick inside a plastic bag and seal it. Repeat this seal with another bag just to make it super waterproof because you don't want brick corrosion. Put this in your toilet's tank and it will save you money on your water bill over years.
I'm not doing any of this. I don't think plumbers would agree. I think it's probably bad for your plumbing system in your toilet to do things like that.
There's probably a reason why the tank is that size.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, I don't know, I'd rather get a side hustle versus do any of this insane stuff. Just budget. I'd rather cut a subscription than have to use my own hair in a pillow.
That just makes me cringe so bad. And I think it's so important to highlight because I have seen so many people trying to save money and doing it in unwise ways. There are great ways to do it that, it's worth the investment. And there are other times where it's probably best to just get a side hustle.
Listen, I love the Amish, but I'm not making my own soap anytime soon.
You sure?
I'm not doing it.
Well, but the thing is, too, is there's actually side hustles that you can create that, you make soap for other people and it makes money.
You want to make your fancy soaps.
Yeah.
The old goat soap.
The old goat soap.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, let's take a call. We have Ben calling from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Hey, Ben, welcome to the show.
Hey, Christina and George. Good to talk to you. And it's a hard pass on all of those.
Thank you, Ben. Good man.
Good call.
So we'd like some direction. Both my wife and I work for the same company, and we're looking at retirement in the baby step 4 here. We're currently on baby step 3 again. We had an emergency in the fall, and we had to go back to filling that baby step 3. So our employer contributes 10% of our income into the 403B, and it's not a match. So we're not sure really what to do about that, if we're going to treat it like a match or if we want to just call that icing on the cake.
So is that from your own paycheck?
No.
Okay, so this is basically free money they're putting into this account.
It's free money. It's like a match, but it's not a match.
Got it. It doesn't matter how much you put in. They're going to put in 10%.
They're putting in 10%.
Okay.
Our income is just north of $92,000, so we're at about $13,008, maybe $14,000, and we have both traditional and Roth options within this 403B. So we're not sure if we're supposed to do 10% to be like a match, or do all 15% in the Roth, or a combination thereof.
If I'm in your shoes, I'm going to do 15% into the Roth, each of us. That's the simplest way to go about this.
Okay.
And you have the funds to do that, right? Once you're out of this baby step 3?
Yeah, we should be there starting in May.
I love it. I mean, that's essentially 25% going in, and your 15% is after tax. It's going to grow tax-free. You can withdraw it tax-free. And so I like that plan. That's going to only give you more money in retirement and help you guys retire baby steps millionaires. Way to go. 10%. That's pretty incredible.
Right?
That's not mandatory from my own paycheck. They're just giving it to me.
I love it. We'll be back. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. We're taking your calls at 888-825-5225.
Well, guess what day it is, Christina?
What?
Hump Day! Is that a camel joke, guys? Is that what that was about? I take offense to that as someone with the last name Camel, but I appreciate it as well. Well done. Well, Hump Day means tomorrow's Thursday, which means it's time for our Building Wealth event in Austin, Texas. Guys, if you've never experienced our Building Wealth live event, you don't want to miss this. The excitement, the life-changing inspiration, encouragement from Dave Ramsey, Dr. John Deloney, Ken Coleman, and Jade Warshaw. It's the reason these events sell out, including tomorrow night's event in Austin. Well, in a world where you can literally rent a chicken so you don't have to buy eggs at the grocery store, it's as insane as it sounds, it can feel like you can't get ahead with money, let alone invest and save for retirement. But the truth is, you can do this stuff, and we're going to show you how at our Building Wealth live event. So we've got 2 more dates this spring where you can still join us. Salt Lake City on April 24th with Dave Ramsey, myself, Rachel Cruz, and Christina Ellis. That'll be your first one.
My first one.
Excited for that. And then Anaheim, California to round out the spring tour on May 2nd with Dave Ramsey, Dr. John Deloney, Ken Coleman, and Christina Ellis. And like I said, Indianapolis, Austin, both sold out, so don't miss your chance to get tickets for Salt Lake City and Anaheim today before they're gone. RamseySolutions.com/events.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Next up, we have Tim calling from Cleveland, Ohio. Hey, Tim, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Hey, doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well as well.
How can we help?
So I'm currently renting with my girlfriend, and we're looking at buying a house, but she's also pregnant. So I was just wondering if we should continue renting or buy a house, and which college fund I should open up for our soon-to-be child.
Well, tell us a little bit more about your situation. Do you have any debt right now?
I have debt. I have a $16,000 car loan and a $20,000 personal loan from college.
Okay. And how about her?
And then she has $10,000 in federal student loan.
Okay, so we're probably just going to go ahead and take buying a house off the table right now. The first thing we're going to say is tackle that debt. And I know, especially with a baby coming into the world, there's so many thoughts of, trying to get settled down and nest. That's such a natural desire to want to nest. But in the long run, we really want this debt gone and the financial stability to be there. So do you have any money in the bank right now?
Yes. So she has $80,000.
Oh. Okay. What about you?
I just paid off $30,000 of debt, so I used my savings to pay off half of my student debt. So that's why I'm down to 20.
You're down to 20,000 in savings?
No, in student debt. I used all my savings to pay off my debt.
Oh, got it.
So I'm also active duty military, so we would use the VA loan.
Okay.
All right. And how old are you two?
30.
Both 30 years old.
Are you familiar with the baby steps?
I've glanced at them. I'm not familiar enough now.
No, that's okay. George will walk you through them really quick, which will kind of help frame what we do here at Ramsey and kind of the approach, which I know may seem counterintuitive, especially when you're in that nesting mode and you're wanting to settle down and get a house. But I promise you, this has worked for millions of people, and it seems like the slow route, but it gets you where you want to go.
Yeah. So have you guys combined finances? Or are they separate?
Separate.
And you're just kind of splitting the bills down the middle?
Yes.
Okay. Good. So let's keep them separate. So all the steps I talk about, she's going to do it on her own. You're going to do it on your own. We don't want to commingle these finances because that'll create a headache down the road. So baby step one, $1,000 starter emergency fund. Do you have $1,000?
Yes, I spend. So currently I put $2,700 towards just paying down my debt every month.
Okay. But you have $1,000 in the bank sitting there?
Yes.
Okay. And then baby step two, we're paying down all of our debt using the debt snowball, smallest to largest balance, regardless of the interest rate, which means what debt is next for you? What's the next smallest loan you have?
Smallest loan would be the car.
$16,000. What's the car worth?
I just got it appraised. It's pretty much what I owe on it.
Okay. And what's your income?
My income is $89,000, and it goes up $20,000 next year.
Awesome.
Next May.
Well, that's great. That'll help having that bigger shovel to clean up this mess. So we're going to clean up the car loan, and that just leaves you with the personal loan?
Yes.
And so you've got $36,000 in debt. You make $89,000, about to be making over $100,000. How quickly can you pay off $36,000 with focused intensity?
I put $2,700 towards debt, and that gives me spending money as well. Like I could definitely put more down.
Okay, so we're talking a little over a year and a half?
Probably, yes.
Okay. And once we're there, we're going to build up that emergency fund. Now, obviously, we have a baby on the way, so you may need to pause in order to save up a bunch of money, and it's good that she has that savings. Have you guys talked about how you're going to figure this out financially with the baby?
Yes.
How's that going to work?
So she has a job, too. We're both military. She makes more money than I do.
Okay. How long have you guys been dating?
3 years.
Okay.
What are y'all thinking about for the future? Are you thinking about marriage?
100%.
So what is kind of the hold off from doing it right now? Whenever you're kind of thinking through all this money stuff, thinking about buying a house, where does it fit in the timeline?
We have no issue like doing it now. I was just deployed, so I just got back.
Well, I'm thinking go ahead and do it, especially with baby coming, for that baby to come into the world with two committed parents and to truly start this financial journey on the same page would be amazing.
And it changes the numbers here when you have dual incomes all focused towards the same goal, because now it's our money, which means that $80,000 in savings can help you clear that debt tomorrow instead of a year and a half from now, which then frees up your income to help cover expenses, get the emergency fund where it needs to be, start investing, and save up that down payment for the house.
Okay.
You'll get to that house a lot faster if you get married and do this the right way.
And congratulations. This is exciting. This is a very exciting time. I know that it's a lot to process and you immediately want to start jumping into getting all the info and all the things.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And don't invest for college until we are at baby step 5, which means we have no more debt. You may want to save for a house before then. You want to be investing 15%. Then we can open up, a 529 plan for the baby and start putting in a little bit of money for that. You got plenty of time on that side. Let's focus on our own personal finances first.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, hang on the line.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Should I currently lower my TSP?
I would lower it to 0 until we clean up this mess of debt.
Okay.
And temporarily. And it will also light a fire under you because you're missing out on investing. And I can tell you love investing. I love that for you. But when you go down to 0, it's going to create more margin in your budget because you're going to have more income in the bank to throw at this debt, which is only going to speed up the process.
Okay, thank you.
You got it, man.
Hey,
Thanks for your service.
Tim, hang on the line as our gift to you. We will get you into Financial Peace University. Austin will pick up and get that for you. We are wishing you well in this.
Yes, go through it together as a team. There's nothing like it, Christina, when you have a spouse who is on board and you guys are headed the same direction with the same vision, the same goals. It speeds up the process so much faster.
Yes, it's kind of like the frugal tip. Marry someone frugal. Marry somebody that cares about money. Whenever you guys get on the same page about money, it is such a game changer.
Well, then there's less money fights because now we're not arguing about, hey, I thought we said you weren't going to. It just becomes, no, we have the same goal, which means we're both not eating out. We're both not frivolously spending. We're both pausing investing. It's not, it doesn't become a tit for tat situation.
Yeah, and it's fine if y'all are totally different in how you view money. I think a lot of people, the nerd finds us and then they start shoving it in the face of their spouse and they're like, the spouse
Are you
is...
the nerd?
I'm not, actually.
Wow.
I know, a lot of people don't realize that, but I am more the free spirit spender.
I'm the nerd spender. She's the free spirit saver. It's a weird relationship, but we make it work.
That's awesome. And a lot of times opposites attract. So, it's great even if your spouse is kind of resistant at first and they're like, I don't know about this whole, money thing. I don't know if I want to talk about money. Give them time. They can get there.
And FPU helps you get there.
Yes.
Sure.
We'll be right back. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day comes from 1 Corinthians 15:58. Be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Our quote comes from Rosa Parks. Stand for something or you will fall for anything. Today's mighty oak is yesterday's nut that held its ground. Ooh.
Love that.
That's powerful. All right, let's go to the phones. Up next, we have Heather calling from Portland, Oregon. Hey, Heather, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for calling. How can we help?
So I went to a credit union to open up a bank account, and you let me know that someone else's name is on my Social Security number and my credit report. So it sounds like they stole my identity.
Ouch.
And I'm not really sure what to do about it. And just wanted to call you guys and find out.
When did you find out about this?
Probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was out of town, and that's when I found out.
And what all have they done thus far? Have they opened up new cards, or do you know how far the damage is at this point?
I don't. I need to check my credit report.
Yes.
I'm so sorry that's happened.
Really.
That's a great first step is to pull you can do that for free. Don't pay to have this done. I believe the site's annualcreditreport.com. You can pull them from all 3 bureaus for free. So that would be a great first step on top of freezing your accounts. So you can place a fraud alert on those accounts and freeze them so that no one else can open up anything under your name or Social Security number.
Yeah, and I would get on that like as soon as you get off the phone with us. I would not let any other time pass.
Have you filed any kind of police report?
No, I wasn't really sure what to do.
Okay. So is there any proof that there has been financial harm to you, that they've actually, because what they could do, this happened to me about a decade ago, Heather. Someone opened up an AT&T account and Verizon account across the country using my name, my social security number, racked up $1,700 on both, and then I had debt collectors calling me. And so it didn't actually cost me money. I just had debt collectors coming after me for accounts that I never opened. And so that could be the case with you, where they're opening these accounts, they're spending money on them, they're not going to pay them, and all of a sudden you have debt collectors coming for you down the line.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they've done. I haven't heard from anyone, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait to hear from anyone. I would be super proactive in this situation, because this is one of those things where literally every day that passes, they have the potential to do more harm with your information. So I would literally, as soon as you get off the phone, start working through the steps now. And we have a really good article on it at RamseySolutions.com that we can link in the show notes.
Yes, it's called What to Do If Your Identity is Stolen. This is an article I worked on to help folks like you who find themselves in this situation. And there's about 12 steps you can take to be proactive and make sure that no more harm is done. That may include, updating your passwords and usernames. It may include closing any of those fake accounts that were opened in your name, contacting your utility providers and other account fraud departments to let them know about this, your bank's fraud department. So there's a lot of steps you can take, and it's frustrating and it takes a lot of time. And it's one of the reasons we recommend ID theft protection. We all have them as team members here through Xander, thanks to Uncle Dave, because they help clean up this mess and do the work, because it can be hours and hours. And so it may be worth contacting them as well and say, hey, can you guys help with this? I don't know how that works after the fact, but I would look into that for sure. So hang on the line. Austin will get you that article, What to Do If Your Identity is Stolen, and we'll put it in the YouTube description and podcast show notes for anyone interested in that.
Well, for everybody listening who's worried about ID theft, you can go to RamseySolutions.com, click on Trusted Services, and you can connect with Xander as well to get that ID theft protection. Yeah. I know I sleep so much better at night knowing that I have that for the just in case. It's one of the things that you never think is going to happen to you. But the stats are pretty crazy. I don't remember the exact number of ID thefts that happen per year, but I remember when I read it, I was like, staggering.
And
I gotta get this.
When I had identity theft hit, I had just started at Ramsey. And so luckily we had it in place.
Oh, good.
And so I was like, hey, I'm going to contact Xander about this. And they were super helpful in walking me through, here's the documents we need, here's what you can help with. Then they would run with it. They'd send me updates on where things stood. They got the accounts closed. And it was still a nightmare to deal with, but I can't imagine doing it all on my own, the hours it would take.
That's rough.
So protect yourselves, folks.
Yeah.
I just, from then on, freeze all the credit bureaus, just freeze your accounts so that no one can open anything in your name.
Huh. That's smart. There you go. All right, up next we have Joelle calling from Dallas, Texas. Hey, Joelle, welcome to the show.
Hey, y'all. My question is regarding a home. So my mom recently passed, and she left her home to 7 children. My mom was so great, and she moved here to the United States from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and she built this house.
Wow.
And she passed last month, and her 7 children are heirs to the home. So I just wanted to get some advice from the team on what we should do with the home, whether we should sell it or we should rent it.
Well, I'm so sorry for your loss, but it sounds like she was an amazing woman. That's
amazing.
Oh, I can hear it in your voice.
Even just for raising 7 children, you should win a Nobel Peace Prize. That's incredible.
Seriously.
What a woman.
So tell me about the relationship with the siblings. Is everybody on the same page? Everybody, getting along well?
Everyone's getting along well. Everyone's on the same page. I'm the one in the mindset that we should sell it. We should sell it only because there's a lot of us, and the maintenance to keep up with the house. I don't know if everyone would be willing to chip in when there is trouble, so that is a worry of mine.
And so you're saying you want to sell it, but it sounds like other people don't. What's kind of the consensus on that side?
Just because it's monumental, right? It's a symbolism of what she's built here in America for us.
So how many of your siblings don't want to sell the house?
There is about really 2 to 3 of us, and then the other 4 are strongly for keeping it.
So if they did keep it, what would they do with it? Would they rent it? Would somebody live in it? What's kind of the plan?
Yeah, they would rent it to someone, find a landlord, also find a property manager to kind of manage it so that we won't have to. But my biggest fear with that is, what if someone the tenant does not pay the rent, and that's up to us to take care of it. If something breaks down, then that's up to us to take care of it. And I love my siblings, but we've also are not the best in chipping in, especially when there's so many of us.
Yeah, and how would that work? Would it be all 7 of you would stay owners and be splitting the profit 7 ways? Is that kind of how they envision that?
Yep, correct.
Well, is there any of the siblings that want to keep the house that could basically buy the rest of you out?
See, that's a good point. I was thinking about that, but I currently have a home of my own, and my wife and I are on baby step 6 trying to pay off our own home. So, I'd have to take out another loan to basically buy them out.
Well, and it sounds like you don't actually want to keep it. You're on the side of selling it. So would perhaps one of the ones that strongly wants to keep it.
Yeah, they would buy you out by buying your share of it.
Right.
So they would have to give you, how much is the home worth?
It's about $250.
Okay, so it's a doable amount potentially for one of the 7 of you.
Yeah.
I mean, that would kind of, it's a bit of a creative solution to kind of solve keeping it in the family. It solves that, but it also gets the rest of you who don't actually want to be part of it out of it.
Is this still in probate, or is it without probate?
It's not within probate yet, so that's the step that we're going through right now.
And then who's the executor?
It's probably going to be my older brother.
Okay. Because they may have more control in the situation if they're the executor. But we need to come to an agreement of what this looks like, even if it means, hey, we're going to buy out some of these co-heirs. Because depending on the legal situation, which I would still talk to an estate attorney if you haven't already, and figure out what the legal implications are. What can the executor decide to do? Who has a say? Who has a vote? But man, that could be messy if everyone disagrees.
Yeah, and if I'm in your shoes, I do not want to be renting out a house with 7 of my other siblings, hoping that we all figure out all the profits over the next several years. That sounds messy, and like it could be a recipe for a lot of family arguments in the future.
Man, wishing you the best, man. So sorry for your loss.
All right, that puts this hour of the Ramsey Show in the books. Thanks to all the guys in the booth, Austin, Ben, James, Zach, and Andrew, and to you, America, for tuning in. We'll be back soon. This is The Ramsey Show. Hey, it's Christina Ellis. If you love the show and want to dive deeper on your money journey, we have a weekly newsletter that gives you trending and helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for our newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter.